Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Maamar, hey, Parak Base. This morning share is sponsored for Schus for Shiur and immediate revealed good outcome for Yitzchok, Yoel, ben Shterna, Sara. The Mitzvah Hashem, all our learning should have a big impact, and all that needs to be accomplished should be accomplished. And also for all the soldiers and all soldiers that are well, that are unfortunately unwell, for the families and for everyone as you saw, and also for all the hostages. That all our learning is in the source of them, and specifically Sharon bat Matuka. That should have only mesikus, only sweetness. And also for Yosef Yitzchak ben Simcha. It should be safe and all good. Yeah, so let's continue. We're going to finish off with Hashem, Parak base. So we're discussing this whole thing about Malchus and where the world is created, and we come really we come from Malchus, and that's sort of the source of creation of the world. And even though Malchus on one hand is like the lowest level of the world, but it's a source for the higher, it's a source for the next world. And this is what we're talking about in the letters, the different letters of the Yud K, the Vav K, Hashem's name, and we're talking about the lower level of Malchus is coming from this lower Hey. But now we're going to discuss how we have to recognize when we're talking about letters. We're not talking about letters like we think about letters and we speak letters and just stum letters. This is letters that create. So it's a very different style. It's just the way we understand it is through our physical letters when we speak, but doesn't have the same impact. Behold, page 89 in the green version of Kuntres, whoever wants. Behold, ois hey lamailo. So he's prophesying. You have to understand that the Eis, Hey, Lamai, this Hey that creates the world, and all letters, Bechal, that create the world, is not like the letters that we use to speak, to create, to speak. To Eis, yes, Lamata, Heim, Dimimim, Shem, Behem, Zaratzam, Leiratzam, Lechachma. Without speech, the speech itself has no life force, there's no ratzon, there's no will, no intellect. We have the intellect, we have the ratzon, we have the will, and we express it with these words, with letters and words. But that letters and words by themselves have no specialness, have no self ideas. And they're just the vessel to include any ability that we're putting into it. We want to explain something in a specific way. So the mode of communication is the kelim, is the letters. But not so above. Chas v'shalom akain. Chas v'shalom is such a thing. Ella hadibur shalamayla yesh ba'osis ratzon chachma. The letters have a ratzon, have a will, have an intellect. Because from the highest speech, meaning speech coming from above, it created the source for wisdom. And what does that mean? It means that the Malchus of Atzilus, in general, when we're talking about levels, we say like whatever level it is, normally we talk about it in the level of Atzilus. Atzilus is like the highest of our, so to speak, a galaxy. So when they say just Malchus, anything, even though in here we're saying very clearly Malchus of Atzilus, but in general, when you see something in Chassidus, Malchus, it means of Atzilus. So Atzilus is like the world that it's Eitzel, it's close to God. So when you talk about the general four worlds, Atzilus is like the closest to godliness. It's generally speaking, I'll say that's like godliness, God. Because in Chassidus, the deeper you go, the more you find different levels and deeper levels. But especially in the Rebbe's Maamarim, that's like the lowest level. But so here, Malchus of Atzilus, which is sort of the lowest of the 10 spheres. In Atzilus, it's Nasa Atik Libriya, becomes Atik. So Atik is a level above the worlds of Bria, meaning Meaning, in general, you have Chesed, Gevur, Tiferes, and that's what you said Malchus. You have Chacham and Adas, Chesed, Gevur, Tiferes, and you have all these 10. So the top one is Chacham. Chacham, intellect, that's the highest. But really, and this is how Chassidus always works, if you go deeper, you'll recognize that it's even deeper than Chacham, and that is Keser. Keser is the crown, just like there's intellect, which is in your head, and then there's the crown above your head. So the lowest level of Atzilus is Malchus, but really, but in the same hand, Malchus is the highest level of Bria, and that highest level is called Atik. Okay, it is the Medrash, like it says in the Medrash, Eicha, Psichta, Chavdal, and it says in the Medrash over there, the letters came to testify. It is a Bezayah, also like it says in the Zion. And we're showing different places, talking about letters that have some wisdom, have something to them, not like contrasting to the letters that we have when we speak. They don't really have any intellect, any rats, and there's no, they don't so to speak live. They're inanimate, as we said. That came the letters to create the world. Also in the Tikkunei Zayar, the Sefer, in the end of it says, Isa, Maskilim, Yazhiru, Elaine, Inun, Asvan, the Havid Loin, Seichel, that the Maskilim are to be careful because these letters have intellect. La Allah, Kadam Malkut, go up in front of the king, Kol Chad, Al Tikkunei, everyone according to his position. Peresh, Bekisei Melech, and explains that it means the chair of the king, the crown of the king. Sorry, Uperesh Kisei Melech, and in Kisei Melech he explains Shalachei Nikro Ha'esiyos Maskilim Ein Sham. That's what it's called, the letters Maskilim, knowing, knowledgeable. Check over there. And again, we're just proving this point, and the Rebbe Rashab is showing us that letters that create, the letters themselves have intellect. Therefore, we can say that the letter Hey, now we can explain, now we can make sense why we say the letter Hey, which we said create the world, which is the lowest of the lowest. But for us, it's created the whole world. Wants to go back up to Lamayla, wants to go up to its source. Because if the letters are nothing, like when we speak, there's no, they don't live, they're inanimate. So what does it mean the letters go up to its source? So the Rabbi Shabbat is teaching us that above the letters have intellect. They create. They have seichel, they have ratzon. And so those letters wants to go back up to its source. It says in the Zayach, Gimel, B'shata, Di'iyu, Goy, Rechimu, Sagya, Chulu, Migoy, Techiku, Direchimu, Dela, Yachla, the Misbal, as Eras, Garma, Biziru Sagi Adadla is Chazias Mina. So it says in the Zohar that at the time that she, the Shterna, is in great love with her beloved, for the intensity of the love that she cannot tolerate, she shrinks herself greatly till nothing is seen of her. Ella Ziru to Nukuda, but a very small little point. Chada, one little point. Well, my iu Yud. And what is that? Yud. There's a great love, and that love, it gets so like humbled by the love and becomes very small. It becomes into like this little yud, and that's the yud. I know shemehei nas the yud. That from the hey that creates the world, this hey becomes a yud. The hayud zehu inyan hiskalus ba'ayin, and this yud is the idea of getting clothed and comes with ayin. Kitzer, I know it's a little bit kabbalistic, but I hope everyone held on. So kitzer. Actually, before the world was created, it was just Hashem and His name. In the beginning, the so to speak Hashem and His name. And the source of all the worlds, all come from its source. When it's revealed to create, it always has this nature wanting to go back up above. Hashem, hey tamei. This is what it means. Hatzameya, the hay is tamei, the hay is thirsty. And the letters that we have above, they have ratzon and chachma. And basically what we're saying is that the world was created with the hay. This isn't simple English. The world was created with this hay. from the name of Hashem. In the beginning, there was just Hashem and His name, and they came down to create a world. Together with it creating the world, it still wants to go up to its source. And ultimately, this is going back to the general theme that we were saying before, that we have a natural desire to do what Hashem wants. And even the world has a natural desire to do what Hashem wants. Even though the Yitzchak and things like that, the nature of the world is to have it this way. So that's essentially what we said there. Now, Perek Gimel. Now we're going to explain another reason why Malchus, which is the source of creation of all the worlds, has this desire to go back up. Before we said, because that's where it's source. In the beginning it was Hu Shmuel Levade, just Hashem, and everything that comes out comes from there. So by nature, it wants to go back up to where it came from, just like the rays of the sun in the sun, or like we said, like the fire wants to go back up to its source in the big fire above. So mitad yiridasa shiyarda liyos makel nivram l'mata. Another reason why it has this thirst to go up, why Malchus has this thirst, is because it came down and created this world. So mishum zeh nase ba teikef haratzev atzimoyin lalis madre. Miridasa, therefore, has this great desire to go back up from its descent. Of course, when people, I remember when I was a bach in yeshiva, they used to have a faring and a lot, that a shliach should always have this desire to be in 770. That even though they goes out to Timbuktu in a very far place, they shouldn't feel comfortable. And it's interesting, I remind myself of this. It's interesting faring that I remember hearing a lot. That on one hand, the shliach is there. Why is there? Because on shliach, really what they want to do is being in 770, learning, davening, for being with their Rebbe. But the Rebbe sent them out of shliach, they have to go out. But they want, their desire is to always be here. And this is what we're saying. When we go out, or when Malchus goes out, its desire really is always wants to be back. But it has a shlichus. This is what it says in the Zohar. Like we said before, that from the hay makes the yud. Keep a yud, never yud created the world to come. Yud is the source of the life of the neshamas, and not this life of the body. Hay is the life of the body, and yud is the life of the neshama, the life of the neshama. Shehu chai gufim, because by Yud, the hay, which is the source of the creation of the physical bodies and physical world, so it wants to go up back into the spirituality. It's like going out in shlichus to a place where there's no Jewishness, there's nothing, there's really nothing. So we want to go back up. We want to go back to its source. And the Yud, whereas the Yud, which is creation of the Olam Haba, which is the world to come, that's the source, which is the source of the neshamas. So that's why the hay wants to really go out back to its source, because it fills the distance. That's the point. This is like what it says at the in the beginning of creation, the waters, the lower waters, they cry and say, we want to be in front of the king. The mayim matzmichim kamei tainug. Water gives life for all pleasurable things. Fruits and vegetables and life, everything really sustains itself with water. And what is the lower waters? They're the source of the physical pleasures. So these waters of the physical pleasure, that they create physical pleasure, they're saying, I want to be up above, when you're next to Hashem. It's a very great descent. This is, it's like taking someone that's potential is for, teaching the deepest levels, deepest ideas in Torah, and coming to teach a little, a play group, little kids, an aleph base. They want to go up to its source. They want to teach. You have so much to give, and the water that is coming from God, it's like annoying for itself that it creates physical pleasure. That's why they cry al yiridasan on their descent, they want to go above by the king, to go up from its source back above, because they're like they're in the wrong place. They feel so. Ultimately, if we do the right thing with these pleasurable things, and we eat for the right sake, and we use the water for the right sake, so then they become very happy. But and this is sort of the challenge of life, and this is sort of the challenge that these creations that Hashem made have, that they want to not be here. They want to be up above in Kedusha. And this is also the challenge, I think, also in a certain sense, this is us, that we should want, that we reminisce on the days where we didn't have pressures of life and all these things that we have to deal with now, and having kids and making food and cleaning the house and taking care of things and all these tears, all these worries of others. But we should remind ourselves, we should look back, so to speak, fondly on the times we were in seminary or yeshiva or wherever it is, that we were connected and that it was clear to us, and we could focus on that, and we should want to replicate it to a certain extent. Of course, not at the expense of anyone or our kids, chas v'shalom, but just like I remember I used to learn for hours. So let me go make a chavos and I'll learn every day. Well, I used to be very, very, very strong about doing chitas. So let me try to reintroduce that. I was very strict about whatever it is. So let me try to do that again. And bring ourselves back to that place. To be continued tomorrow. Have an amazing day.